focus on the TV entertainment and the kids, it's almost 75% of the minutes spent today. That's incredible. This was a medium that, again, was largely movies a little bit ago, and now it's become an extension for the consumer to use TV and programming. If we take a 3-year chunk of time, there's been almost a 70% free on-demand growth rate, and that's pretty astounding in and of itself. But this is what astounds me, and this is a chart of days of the month. And you start looking at what happens to the primetime schedule or the free programming after the first 3 days. It grows exponentially out there. Then start looking at the demographics, not of a 25 to 50-year-old person, but someone who is currently driving a BMW, someone who's driving a Lexus, and that's the target for Mercedes. It has very little to do with age and a lot about current activity that they have. And it's a sure bet that someone who owns a 4-year-old BMW that they least knew will be in the market in a very certain moment. This medium works to build brand because we make those purchase decisions over a far longer period.
You know, what does redefining on-demand actually mean, at least to Rentrac's vantage point?
I think we've evolved as well, because when I first started working and invented, which isn't not the case, there was a lot of people behind inventing a system to measure on demand. But having said that, when we first started, it was all about movies, and it was all about the opportunity to be able to order a movie over your television set and watch it in the privacy of your home. And little did we know that this medium was going to become really driven by free content, prime time content. And as Bill mentioned in some of his slides, the more prime time content that's available, the more popular the medium becomes, and 78% of the viewing is occurring on these free television shows that are available. And that's one of the huge differences that I see in the redefinition. The other thing I would mention is it's not just on your TV set anymore, obviously. You have the opportunity to watch content in one of two ways. Either a linear stream, and that can be on your TV set when you turn it on at night and you just watch a regular television channel, or you can see some of the same type of linear movement through your cable operator, satellite operator, a linear television channel that you can watch on your tablet or on your mobile phone, or it's on demand, meaning I select the program that I want to watch regardless of the platform on which I want to watch it. And so to me, redefining on demand is really about watching what I want to watch everywhere.
Right. What is Rentrac planning and doing for VOD measurement?
Well, we are VOD measurement. We collect from 100 million set-top boxes the transactions down to the tuning level of all VOD for transactional VOD buying, subscription VOD, and free VOD. So if you want VOD measurement, we're the ones that are actually providing it. What we are doing is moving in two key areas. The first key area is to make it transparent. So we have a transparency report that we're actually now giving away free to ad agencies, and others have to pay for it. But that has about 60 networks in it with their monthly numbers. Because in order to create a marketplace, you have to have transparency. You have to have the ability to see across networks, across operators, to see the value being delivered. That's one thing that we're doing. The second thing that we're doing is working to expand our demographic reporting by looking at zip code level information, matching that up with zip code level viewing, and doing some modeling in terms of our demographic information. So that's, I think, the two key areas that we're trying to add on to: transparency and demographics.
Dynamic ad insertion it's great. I mean, is anything ever going to be enough? Probably Luckily not, but it's huge. It allows me, not only does it fix most of the issues that we had in the past, but it allows the advertiser to really get down to the one thing that VOD has never offered, and that's some level of targeting. Right? Advertisers, for right or for wrong, television is based on guaranteed delivery of impressions to a certain demographic segment. Dynamic ad insertion allows that, so we can now start to define different hyper segments, even above and beyond what we normally have on television, and begin to use those 28 million households within all of that VOD content to insert and sort of build our messaging there. The challenge that we're faced with, that I'm hearing from all of our advertisers right now, is on one end, that's really good. So instead of buying women 25 to 54, I can buy households that are women 25 to 54 with the household income of 50,000 plus with kids under 15. So that's important and they like it, and I do think there will be some of that'll be traded in the months to come. The challenge that we're hearing back from them is, okay, but because of the pricing in broadcast, a lot of advertisers are favoring cable. So between 70 and 75% of the average national advertiser's GRP weight is in cable right now. So VOD inventory is more cable inventory, and that's part of what we're struggling with right now. So therefore, really, to wrap it up, what we need to do on the agencies, with the help of our advertisers, is really drill down and clearly define a hyper-target segment so that we can use this VOD inventory and the dynamic ad insertion tool to heavy up on a core target audience. Because if we're unable to do that, then it's just more cable television inventory, which we have an abundance of right now. And that's in a nutshell, that's what we're hearing from a lot of the national advertisers right now.
Challenging to get information like, well, what kind of revenue could I see on a science fiction show, for an S5 platform? So that kind of information is it's impossible to get. As we deliver more content, we get a sense of how things can perform on the channels where we get that feedback, whether it's being able to see views on like a Hulu or a YouTube, or being able to get actual sales information and direct sales information from an iTunes or an Amazon. But when you're selling to some of the S5 platforms, they're usually set license fees for a period of time. You have no idea how many people are watching it. So it's hard to place value on content. It's hard to determine how to invest in the content because you're not quite sure what you're going to see in the marketplace. And it also changes. So you could get a sense that, oh, they're looking for this, and then you invest in it, and a year later, like, oh, we don't want that anymore. And so it's a challenging thing because of the lack of transparency and things like that.
I think the biggest challenge is actually going through the supply chain, getting the content from wherever the heck it's hidden, sometimes actually still in salt mines apparently, and dragging that all the way through and making sure as you do that, the integrity of that creative work is preserved or in some cases improved for the device. And it sounds so easy just to take that master and make it show up every place and make it look good every time, but the nuances of every last step that goes into that and all the handoffs, it's surprising how much of it is still driven by emails and phone calls and text messages and just things that you would not imagine attached to this very savvy set of technologies that consumers see. But it's lots of strings and levers and duct tapes and bubble gum. It really needs to be ripped out of that supply chain, like Walmart's done for a lot of their supply chain to get Pop-Tarts to the right place at the right time and do that in a way that's reliable and drives a profit.
Any fax machines or Ravens?
No Ravens yet, but we did ask engineering to see if maybe Ravens could help with our communications through the supply chain.
Yeah, I would second what you just said and add a little bit of detail. I mean, it used to be really easy. I mean, we delivered content and SD and HD to a set-top box, and now we're working with more content, hundreds of different content sources, hundreds of different types of variants and file formats for the multi-screen. I mean, at last count, I think my My CTO told me that our processing requirements are to manage, nearly 700 different variants for the multi-screen world, and then staying on top of that, because every screen, every studio has its own nuance, and and in order to deliver the type of quality experience, you have to be able to manage those bits from the moment of ingest down to the moment of delivery to the consumer at the quality that they're looking for.
So I would add, that's the sort of the supply chain side, right? Getting into these devices. Once you get it to the devices, you actually got to build great experiences on these devices. And there's many more devices this year than there were last year. And each of those OSs end up being very fragmented. And so, managing an app pool, across these growing set of devices that consumers are using is a real challenge, and that's where the consumer sees the problem, right? So getting a call from a customer asking why one Android works and another one doesn't isn't pleasant for a customer service rep, because there really isn't an answer that they accept, other than, hey, when can you get it to work? And so that's a real challenge, and it's a challenge in a lot of ways, right? Customer experience, and then also the challenge to build well, and the challenge to maintain the quality and the integrity of that product over its life cycle.
Yeah, what kind of team do you have dedicated to just that part of your business now?
Yeah. A big one. And when we historically like to, and we should, frankly, because we focus on customer experience like there's no tomorrow. We like doing this stuff internally, but we had to start outsourcing some of the development and frankly some of the management of these platforms. And so when I get a quote from our engineering team and development teams on what one app will cost us to build, and I freak out, right? And they go, how am I ever going to build a business case to support this? And you start peeling the layers back, and you go, okay, so it's tablet and it's phone, and it's iOS, and it's Android. Oh, by the way, there's another OS that we should probably be looking at, maybe 2. And there's 4 flavors of those OSs. And by the way, the video player doesn't work across the board on all of them, so we might actually have to go get a new video player. And oh, by the way, now we have to go back and make sure that the DRM attaches itself to the video player, and the customer experience isn't great.
I think as an industry, we're a little bit of a gray and white. This is no longer scalable to build custom applications and playback environments for this version of Android and that version of Android and Boxy and Roku and Xbox and so forth. And so I think the opportunity is, from a technology perspective, how do we solve this in a scalable, easy way? And that's what Adobe is focused on. And but I think as we solve the mass technical issue that is causing you to have so many people and so many resources and so many dollars behind each platform that you're rolling out, I think there's going to be a whole new suite of challenges that we find.
When you first started making films or acting films, just that whole arc of time, how has it been redefined for you in your work and just in the landscape, as you say?
Well, as an independent filmmaker, it's a great time to be making film and having access finally to audiences that I never had before. So finally, on demand isn't just for big blockbusters who eventually after 6 months you see them on demand. Now with the way things are headed, guys like me have an opportunity to connect directly with audiences with our films. So it's no longer just for the big guys, it's also for independent artists.